This exhibition and book came about because I was living in New York and pregnant, and I suddenly began to notice the huge amount of celebrity mum pictures. It's amazing that suddenly you notice something photographically that you've never noticed before, but also they all look the same and the same messages were coming out. So I was curious to see what was going on in photography, so I kind of turned my radar to fine art photography to see what was going on. And a lot was going on, and it was really interesting, but it wasn't getting shown a huge amount, and it hadn't really been gathered together in a group show before, so I thought that would be a really interesting thing to do, to put it all together. When you're putting together an exhibition, it's a process of editing, really. I gather, I cast my net very widely, and then I take it down until it begins to make sense as a show, which is a very different thing from making sense as a book. And it was absolutely an exhibition first and then a book. So the artists have to work not only visually together, but also conceptually together, and also contradict one another as well. Obviously, the ways that you can go about this subject are very varied. And what I didn't want to do was to make it a didactic, illustrative exhibition. I didn't want to show here's pregnancy, here's a child growing older. That's absolutely not what I wanted to do. I wanted to look at the more kind of thorny issues around maternity and representation. It's really important that the two are together. So photography always played a really important role in how I selected the work. Janine's picture in the habit was really a centerpiece for the exhibition for me. When I first saw it years ago, I was just astounded by it. I was not only its physical size, but also this idea of like those Russian dolls where you have a house inside a house and a person and a spider being represented within, and these kind of cycles of mothering that exist in domesticity. So it was really about the shape-shifting that's needed for women when they become a mother, and their shifts in identity. That especially comes across in Lee's work, which we have here a mother that's past childbearing age, but she's trying to sort out who she is at 50 and what that means to be a mother and how she's thought about and how she's represented. So it's there in everybody's work, but obviously in some it's more apparent than in others. What the work does here at the Photographer's Gallery is really, it looks at ideas of excess and abundance in a lot of the work. Loss certainly plays a part, but if you think of the culture that we live in and the fact that everything is photographed and there's bumps on Instagram, babies everywhere, a lot of the work chimes into that cultural background. And so for example, Alina's work, she's photographing again and again and again every month, something that's not usually photographed. So that idea was really pivotal to the work in the Photographer's Gallery. And counter to that, we have the other half of Home's Truth is at the Foundling Museum. And when I went into that space, the sense of loss was so palpable that I really knew that I had to do a show that was around that theme. To do anything else would be totally inappropriate. And so the work selected for that show all deals with a certain kind of loss, not necessarily a death, but loss really there. And so they have a kind of counterpoint to one another. They kind of weave a web with one another back and forth between the two sides. I think I want audiences to come away with seeing something they hadn't seen before, or thinking about motherhood in a way that they hadn't thought about it before. And so I want people to just kind of relax and open their minds a bit and show a little kindness and empathy towards the people in the pictures.